Hi there guys, Danny Flexen for Seconds Out. Not so much breaking news as I imagine most people watch the fight, but just a quick review on the Golden Contract show tonight on Sky Sports. I've paused it, as you can see behind me, with a new belt around his waist and an arm around one of his trainers, Kevin Mitchell, obviously former great fighter himself, Ohara Davies, who edged Tyrone McKenna, bitter rival Tyrone McKenna, in the final of the Golden Contract tournament for the super lightweights. I had it McKenna slightly ahead, but I wasn't focused completely during a couple of the early rounds. I had some other stuff going on. I was still watching it, but I could understand it going either way. The three men that mattered, the judges, one of whom was also the referee on the night. The referee had it 95-95, so 5 rounds each. But the other two judges who were scoring from outside the ring both had it 96-94, 6 rounds to 4 in favour of Ohara Davies. The Essex man, Hackney man, now based in Essex, takes the WBC, I think it's WBC International title, but I stand to be corrected on that, in what proved to be quite a cagey tactical affair, despite the fact that there was a lot of pre-fight hostility and build-up between the two. It didn't turn out to be the kind of gripping war that some people expected. It was very tactical, especially in the early going. I thought Ohara Davies had drifted out to a bit of a deficit on the scorecards over the first half of the fight. McKenna was moving around. Not all his shots were landing, but he was certainly throwing a lot more than Davies in the early part of the fight, or the first half, and then twisting away, using his height and reach. Obviously, Davies has really long reach, disproportionate to his height, but McKenna's 6'1", which is pretty huge for a super lightweight, and he used that to his advantage as much as possible. And early on, it just seemed like there wasn't enough urgency about Davies. He was content to kind of plod after McKenna, follow him around the ring a little bit, and try and line up that huge right hand that he has. Not huge as in bigger than a standard right hand, but packs a lot of power, as most people know. But then things started to change in the middle rounds. McKenna sustained a cut, quite a severe one actually, to his eye in round 6. And that was when Davies really started to put more emphasis on his work, cut the ring down a little bit more, try and move his feet into range a bit faster. I think one of the problems McKenna had, especially as he started to tire, was judging Davies's range. So he'd pop off a jab or a double jab, and then before he could try and take a step back or to the side and move away, Davies had countered him. And it's hard to judge with Davies because he isn't the tallest, but does have that long reach. And his reactions for single shots are actually quite snappy. And he showed good ring IQ as well, Ohara Davies. It wasn't, there wasn't enough work rate for me. I thought he could have thrown more shots, and I thought he could have varied his work a fair bit more. But what he did throw was intelligent. His shot selection was pretty good, if not diverse. And towards the end of the fight, he seemed to take over to an extent. But then once it got into like rounds 9 and 10, it seemed like Davies, despite his success, had then allowed McKenna to get back into his boxing rhythm. And I thought he was throwing it away. I had it really, really close going into the final round, which I think most people, I haven't seen the judges' scorecards yet, I think most people would say that Tyrone McKenna won that final round, got up on his toes. Davies showed very little urgency. Maybe he felt he was clearly ahead, and as it turned out, he was. But yeah, it didn't show particularly a lot of urgency, but he landed the more telling shots throughout the fight, albeit not perhaps as many as McKenna and not in flashy bursts, but the telling shots, the harder shots, you could tell the weight of them. And I think the fact that there's no crowd noise only amplifies that. You can hear every shot, as they say, not just through the TV, but I guess the judges near the ring as well, and the referee certainly, although he scored it, as I said earlier, a draw. Good win for Ohara Davies. Not sure quite where he goes from here. It's the most important victory so far in his career. Only those 2 defeats, of course, against Josh Taylor, who went on to become a unified world champion, and Jack Catterall, who is a mandatory challenger for the other unified world champion at super lightweight, Jose Ramirez. So only lost in really good company, and the Catterall fight was pretty close as well. So he'll look to move up in levels, having now won that golden contract. But McKenna can hold his head up higher. A lot of people on social media had him winning. It was a very close fight. Could have gone either way. So he can improve from this under a great coach in Pete Taylor. So we'll see what happens with him. Before I go, I should also mention the Golden Contract light heavyweight semi-final, second one that took the one that took place on this show, which saw Liam Conroy, unfortunately for a lot of people that like him and the way he goes about his business, fall to a fourth round defeat against the German Serge Michael, or Michel, however you choose to pronounce it. He looked a class above, to be fair. Conroy looked good early on, sound fundamentals, good jab, good head movement. But once Michel got the distance and really started to land, he was by far the bigger man physically and landed the more powerful shots as well, and dropped Conroy a number of times to earn his place in the final opposite Ricard's Bolotniks. I don't think many people would have predicted a Bolotniks-Michel final when when the field was first announced. But that's what we're getting, and we're not sure when that's going to be. But hopefully before the end of this year, perhaps on the show that sees Jazza Dickens and Ryan Walsh finally settle featherweight supremacy in the Golden Contract tournament. That fight was called off yesterday after Jazza and his assistant coach, Derry Matthews, both tested positive for COVID-19, having been tested at the fight hotel. They're both keen, both Ryan Walsh and Jazza Dickens, keen to get that fight back on again before the end of the year. But yeah, great win for Ohara Davies. Best win of his career thus far, and we'll see what comes in the future. And for Tyrone McKenna, chin up, he'll come again too. And there seems to be a lot of mutual respect at the final bell, which is a welcome antidote to the pre-fight feelings between the two. I hope you've enjoyed this little review and that you agree with it if you watched the fight, and that it's enlightened you a little bit if you were unable to see it. And I'll see you all soon. Cheers.